Oh! Oh, hello. I know, right? Whose balls did I have to fondle to get my very own movie?
Yeah, 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 X gon' give it to you. Fuck, wait for you to get it on your own. X gon' deliver to you. Knock, knock, open up the door, it's real. With the non-stop.
Three unqualified morons with microphones. This is the previously recorded podcast. Wade Wilson is a former Special Forces operative who now works as a mercenary. His world comes crashing down when evil scientist Ajax tortures, disfigures, and transforms him into Deadpool. The rogue experiment leaves Deadpool with accelerated healing powers and a twisted sense of humor. With help from mutant allies Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, Deadpool uses his new skills to hunt down the man who nearly destroyed his life. Today we discuss Deadpool. That's a twisted sense of humor. He's always had a twisted sense of humor. That's a bad synopsis.
Yeah, and before he got his powers, they kind of established
That
he was kind of an asshole. Yeah.
Yeah. That's weird. All right. Anyway. All right. Welcome back to Previously Recorded. Today is the big episode, I suppose. One of the main reasons we're kind of doing all this. We're talking Deadpool. So to help me, as always, is my co-host Bob. Bob, welcome back to the show.
Up. It's been a few episodes now, right?
Yeah, it's been in like 3 or 4, I think, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, I don't know where we're at.
And also helping me to discuss Deadpool today is Marvel. Marvel, welcome back.
Hello. Glad to be here. Glad to be here once again.
Now, this is your favorite movie, so you're going to lead the charge.
You're out of your mind.
When we get like, I'm just kidding. Weird synopsis. I did pull it. That is like the official synopsis for Deadpool. But he's always had a twist.
Is the joke there that this is not Marvel's favorite movie, or that he's just not going to lead the charge?
Both.
I'm indifferent. Yeah, he'll hear it.
Yeah, so I think his last.
I just didn't know what the bit was there.
Yeah, the bit is that I'm just kind of freewheeling it here, and just getting through the intro.
The hardest part.
Sometimes when I don't really know what I'm doing, it's easy. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, how are we doing, guys? The last episode that Marvel was on was X-Men First Class, which was his shot that he called. That was his favorite, Bob. So that's his favorite X-Men and one of his favorite superhero films. So I actually don't know how either of you feel about Deadpool, but as we kind of start everything, when was the last time you guys sat down and watched this movie from start to finish? Not on FX, start to finish.
It's been a while.
Yeah, same. Probably before Deadpool 2 came out was the last time that I sat down and really watched this start to finish. So 5 years ago. I always held it in high regard. I always was like, oh, that's a fun one, but I don't know why I never went back to it. Mainly because I'm not a huge Deadpool fan. I don't really, it's the Venom effect, the Joker effect, that he's just different. So people who don't like comic books or superheroes tend to, you can find a lot of his stuff at Hot Topic is like the best way to put it. I don't know. It's just never been, it's a character that I like. I think it's a lot of fun, but it's nothing that I've been like, oh, Deadpool's in this or Deadpool's in that comic. I also didn't really read much of Deadpool. But that's kind of my history of Deadpool. Bob, what are you similar, or have you read a lot of Deadpool at all?
I tried. I think when this movie came out, I think I read a little bit of Deadpool. Like he's fine in the comics. I think live action version of Deadpool kind of like comes across better for me in the grand scheme of things, which I don't always think is the case with characters. Like in either way, I'm okay with him. I could do with him. I could do it. I feel like people who like Deadpool love Deadpool.
Yes. Yeah.
Like it's all there, and they're like obsessed with Deadpool, and everything's Deadpool all the time. And like you said, it's like Hot Topic people. They have his patch on their bag and stuff like that. But like I think Deadpool's fine. I think I like Ryan Reynolds more than I like Deadpool, and that's kind of like why I was interested in this movie initially to begin with.
Yes, I think I could agree with that. It's just that to me that there's more interesting characters out there, especially in the X-Men universe. But he's always a fun one. So I get why people really like him. He's unconventional. He's different, and he's portrayed by Ryan Reynolds, who does a great job.
Like I will say, also much larger things at play. I am interested in, like, I'm looking forward to the new movie.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, just kind of out of front. Me too. I am very excited for the new movie.
I'm kind of just
Um,
waiting for it to start, which I've always heard is the hardest part. You said the intro, but waiting also the
yeah,
hardest part.
yeah, waiting. No pun intended on that there.
Waiting, Ryan Reynolds movie, waiting is the hardest part. Also, Tom Petty song, been waiting
Oh,
to get the pun in since
yeah,
Marvel said the intro is the hardest part.
that's fair.
Yeah,
That's-
thank you. So about 4 minutes.
Some
I've been
people say the
saying
proposal is the hardest part, or
just super.
but
The
you gotta.
tism came out a little bit.
It has to be spirited sometimes, for an intro, and sometimes we're better as just friends. I don't know. I'm out of Ryan Reynolds movies.
Holy
Marvel.
Trinity, Green Lantern.
Marvel. How about you? What's your history with with Deadpool?
Yeah, so when I was my most into X-Men was like the early 90s. So like again, the cartoon and then the like Jim Lee run of X-Men. And Deadpool wasn't like big like he is now. If Deadpool showed up, he showed up as like a mercenary more
Mhm.
than this goofy character that he's kind of
Chimichangas.
become. What was that?
I said more than chimichangas.
Yeah, what I only remember once like in the 97 cartoon, I think Morph like turned into him, but that was it. That might have been like, who was that? Like that was
Mm.
kind of my only intro to him. I think when the movie
Speaking
came
speaking of 97, just real quick
mm,
tangent. Deadpool was the one character he was Bo DeMaio, whatever his name is.
yeah, they're told they couldn't use.
He was told hands off. He cannot
Yeah.
use Deadpool. So that's interesting because I wasn't sure if he had showed up in the original cartoon.
Yeah, I can only remember him popping up once. Like not even him. I think Morph transformed into him real
Mhm.
quick. And I think when this movie came out, there was a run of Deadpool that was new, and it was fine. Like it's when Deadpool's written well, he's written well.
Mhm.
But it's just like if somebody's just handling him and just make him a total like goofball idiot, like it's just too much. So I don't like I'm hit or miss with Deadpool. I think again, if he's handled by a good writer and not just used as like a vehicle to be zany,
Yeah.
he's good. Like he was on the X-Force team and he was really cool because he was like the goofball idiot on the team. It wasn't focused on him. Like he was there, he was doing a good job, he was goofy, but he was also like a badass.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I don't know. Deadpool, he's like Wolverine. Like I'm not a huge Wolverine comic book fan. I'm not a huge Superman. Like just sometimes when they're too like overpowered, and that's what Deadpool's become now.
Yeah,
And
he
like
is.
Wolverine in the comics is like so overpowered. I'm like, well, that's not very interesting.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just not for me. For other people, it is. Obviously, it's this
Hmm.
huge sensation, huge character. Deadpool, everything. It's like I said, it's a Venom equation because Venom becomes,
Oh,
everybody becomes a
Venom in the
version.
90s, forget it. Oh God.
Yeah. So, but Venom becomes like there's a Venomized version of every character now,
Hmm.
and now we're kind of getting into that realm with Deadpool a little bit. But it sells, so I get it. So that's kind of
Yeah.
our history with the character, with the last time we saw this movie, and then obviously this is what's driving Deadpool and Wolverine is what's essentially driving this entire rewatch that we're doing because it's in anticipation for it. So I'm really interested to get back into this movie because again, I hadn't watched it really since before Deadpool 2. I always had a great memory of this movie as being like a great superhero movie. So before we get into all that, obviously we got to do our normal stuff of a little bit of development and pre-production and release and all that fun stuff that I hope people like, which I'm not sure if they do. So this movie was released February 12th, 2016, directed by Tim Miller, his directorial debut, and written by Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick on a budget of $58 million. It went
Hmm.
on to gross $782.8 million with an opening weekend of $132.5 million. It was projected to do $55 million and then it went up to maybe 80. That was industry projections. So it was a fucking hit right off the bat. To this day, it's the largest opening weekend for an R-rated movie, and it was the largest President's Day opening weekend, February opening, and winter opening, Fox opening, until Black Panther came out 2 years later. Obviously not owned by Fox, but those other categories still remains the largest opening for Fox, which is now 20th Century Studios, owned by Disney.
Even for
Critical
two didn't do better than this.
Two did not. Two did a little bit less.
Huh.
A little bit less.
So, question: budgets in general, like when you have these massive budgets,
hmm
is a lot of that the actors, like paying
Um,
actors?
some of it, but
Because 58 million doesn't seem like a high budget whatsoever for a movie with a lot of CGI, a lot of like
hmm they
explosions, things like that. Like
yeah, no, this budget, this budget for a film like this is unheard of.
that's
Yeah,
but
Especially
like
I
how?
bet Ryan Reynolds did this dirt
I was
cheap
gonna
though,
say
just because he
Ryan
wanted
Reynolds
it
just didn't
made.
make them pay for it, basically.
well, he does. He ends up taking a pay cut, I
Is
believe.
this something that I'm gonna find out later on in these production notes?
Yeah, you might. You might.
All right, well,
Good
I'm gonna
question.
stay tuned.
Good
I didn't
question,
get a
though.
chance to read them ahead of time like I usually. I'm gonna stay tuned now. Now I'm on the
Yeah.
edge of my
Hey,
seat.
buckle in. Buckle in. Critical consensus, 85% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty damn good. Consensus is fast, funny, and gleefully profane. The fourth wall busting Deadpool subverts superhero film formula with wildly entertaining and decidedly not family friendly results. Obviously, that's a huge topic of the film, or not of the actual film, but the pop culture around the film is that, oh, it's an R-rated movie. They actually did this big budget. So yeah, that's kind of just like the release facts. So now a little bit of the development and pre-production, and gentlemen, feel free to chime in whenever you want. So development started back in 2004 with David S. Goyer, who helped write some of the Dark Knight trilogy, helped write Man of Steel, did a show Da Vinci's Demon. So he's been around a lot. Was attached to write and direct a Deadpool film and was working closely with Ryan Reynolds after they discovered the character while filming Blade Trinity. Now, I read today that New Line Cinema actually approached Ryan Reynolds about playing Deadpool because at that time there was this weird Fox owned it, but New Line was like developing it. Anyway, Reynolds discovered Deadpool because Wade is referred to in his appearance at one point as Ryan Reynolds crossed with a Sharpay. So kind of caught his interest. The idea was loved by New Line Cinema's executive Jeff Katz, and they greenlit the idea for a Deadpool movie. They now just had to work with Fox to broker a deal to get the rights, and they ended up never getting them due to the issues with Fox not really wanting Deadpool to be associated with the X-Men or their X-Men universe at all, and the project was shut down. I did a lot of research to try and find the real main reason why they shut it down, and I really couldn't find anything. Nothing concrete, nothing specific. It was kind of just, I think we have the X-Men going. Don't fuck with this. We got a PG-13 kind of thing going too. Like, just don't mess with it. So that's my guess. Not really
And
sure.
you're more versed than I'm. '04 would have been after X2.
Yes. X2 was 2003. So it would have been
Okay.
after
So this
X2.
is like between those two is basically when all these talks are happening.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So then 2005, a year later, Fox began showing interest in developing a Deadpool movie on their own, and they met with Ryan Reynolds and wanted them to come and play the character. So Deadpool would make his way into their universe in 2009's X-Men Origins Wolverine, and this would be set up as essentially as a backdoor pilot for Deadpool's own character movie and using the post-credit scene of him surviving. And the reason Deadpool had no mouth during the fight, because we talked about this, Marvel, during the X-Men Origins episode, we didn't really talk about why they took away his mouth, was that the head of Fox said, we don't want a guy talking during a fight. That's cheesy. So they sealed the mouth.
Stupid.
Literally the
Stupid,
merc
stupid.
with the fucking mouth, and you take it away.
Not even
Well, that's-
that abomination of like the character itself by giving him all these powers. Like
Mm-hmm.
the beginning, Ryan Reynolds in the beginning, or whenever like that team does their thing,
There's the special forces team.
is Deadpool. Like they could have just been like, test audience, did you like that? All right, cool. and then like maybe had him at the end. But once you give him like fucking claws and then
Hmm.
like laser vision, it's like where do you go from there? Like it's not even the character anymore.
No, he's a robot. Like, how does he get his own movie? Like, he's basically like a Sentinel kind of thing in X-Men Origins. Piece of
And
shit
isn't
movie.
every comic book superhero kind of built around the idea that they talk while they're fighting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All of them?
yeah. Yep, all of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
really know. The one thing that has been clear around this whole rewatch is how much Fox was involved, the studios were involved in the making of these movies and making weird decisions and things that didn't really make sense, but they did it. Some of it worked out, some of it didn't. Obviously, X-Men Origins is the huge, like, what the fuck is this piece of shit? Not worse than Elektra, so you don't have to eat a shoe.
there's no chance.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't
Dark
know.
Phoenix
I think the Fantastic Four from 2015.
is going to be worse than Elektra. I don't think it's possible.
I don't
I
think it's
think Elektra
possible.
is one of the worst
That
movies I've
movies
ever
and
seen. Not even a
I
superhero
said
movie.
I don't know if you I just didn't know if you told him. I said on the podcast that if we watch a movie that is worse than Elektra, because I don't think that it's possible during this rewatch, not in general, just during this rewatch.
Okay, so not just a movie in
Yeah,
general,
like
but one of these
of the
superhero
Fox
movies.
movies, I don't think
Okay.
there's one that's possibly worse.
I don't
I will,
I don't think
and he
so.
can, and you
I'll
can
eat the other
explain it.
shoe.
I'll eat. Yeah, I said I will sit down with a fork and knife and legitimately I will eat a shoe.
our first live stream. It'd be great.
Yeah, I'll eat the other one. You eat the left,
Yeah.
I'll eat the right, because
I just
there's
don't think it's
nothing
possible.
worse
I'm more
than
of a right
Elektra.
guy, if you don't mind.
All right, we'll meet in the middle.
Okay, that's fine. We can share a
You
shoe.
both can share the shoe. That's fine.
Yeah, we only need to eat one.
So, due to due to the opening weekend success of X-Men Origins, Fox greenlit the Deadpool solo movie. So
So
Reynolds,
due to this character that is not Deadpool,
yep,
and the rest of the movie doing well, despite now being, I think, notoriously known as like a bad movie.
it's a horrible movie.
But I'm saying, like at the time, I don't even think people liked it. They just went to see it.
Yeah, despite it being leaked online, it still actually made like a good
Yeah,
amount of money.
it was still the hype of the X-Men.
I
Like
Yeah.
went at midnight for this.
You saw
For X-Men Origins, not for Deadpool.
you saw at midnight.
Deadpool, I think it was at the time where we could go at like 7 o'clock. I feel like I saw Deadpool with you.
You did, yeah. We saw it together. So, which we have to get into that too. There's talking about seeing it. Marvel has a good story. So anyway, due to the success of that, film was greenlit, and Reynolds helped hire the scribes, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, and he had worked closely with them because they understood what what the vibe they were going for. So originally, they wanted to the writers just wanted to pitch this like solo one-off kind of adventure, and Reynolds was like, no, we have to do the origin. So that movie was well underway. However, after the failure of Green Lantern, Fox considered the Deadpool project to be tainted and were concerned about the entire project. So after several meetings, Reynolds got Fox to agree that they needed to stick to the R rating, and they gave newly hired director Tim Miller a low six-figure budget to go and produce some test footage that would go on to be fairly famous test footage. And Miller was hired for his animated shorts and his visual effects work on the X-Men movies. So this, like I said earlier, this is his directorial debut. So he created the test footage with his animation studio, called Blue Studio, in 2012. But when he showed it to Fox, they weren't convinced and shut the project down until the test footage was leaked in July of 2014, and the film was greenlit basically immediately.
mhm.
So the director's driving home from Comic-Con, and mid-drive home, it starts blowing up on Twitter and social media, this test footage. And essentially, I remember seeing the test footage online. Do you guys remember it at all?
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, because I was like, what the fuck is it? Like, why does this look so
It
weird?
was like random.
Yeah, it was random. I was like, it looked very animated. I'm like, why is this? Is it like a trailer for Deadpool? And then here it turns out, well, it was made by an animation studio. And it's literally the opening car fight scene.
Mhm.
Almost the entire thing leaks online, and nobody owned up at the time to
Like,
who leaked it online.
It was Ryan. Like
No, so it wasn't.
he never admitted it, but I remember he said he's like, I don't know. He's like, there's a chance it was me. I don't know. Like he just
Yeah, and if it
Because
was him, I'd be.
if anyone, I imagine he would.
Yeah, because he is so passionate
Yeah.
about this character. So yeah, it wasn't Reynolds. It was apparently someone from the studio leaked the footage. So in exchange for making the film that they wanted, Fox approved the film with a very low budget of $58 million. It was like originally like 64, and then they cut it even more to 58, which is insane because they were so worried about this movie because of Ryan Reynolds, and Green Lantern's failure, and then kind of the growing, not really success of the X-Men. We talked about First Class being a really good movie, but it came out in 2016, so it came out after Days of Future Past, which did really well. Which we haven't gotten to that episode yet. This is kind of coming here and now because it's the month of Deadpool. But so they reduced the budget, and that led to also script cuts to save money. But the writers believe what was cut actually helped the movie move at a nice pace, which I think this movie does move for the most part at a pretty crisp, hour 45-minute pace. So then this movie needed kind of 2 additional characters, and they decided to have the inclusion of Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Colossus would accompany Wade during the film.
Awesome addition.
Yes, I would agree. I think they elevate the movie, mainly Colossus elevates the movie tremendously.
I love Colossus in this movie.
Yeah, he's great. I think this is probably the best version
The
of
best
Colossus
version we'll ever get, for sure.
And
and also like it's a good situation where like you need a straight man.
Yes, exactly.
It's like any other comedy type situation, you need a straight man, and just for the straight man to be Colossus makes it funnier.
Yeah, and that's why it's awesome because he's super like he's the straight face like do-gooder. They insisted that he have the Russian accent. They're like he needs to have the Russian accent. So they are like pretty much are doing everything about as comic accurate as they can get, as good of an attorney. Like they think that this is our potentially only shot at doing this and making the movie that we want, which you kind of got to look the creative freedom that they're kind of getting for the low budget. They're making, they're spreading that budget pretty well. So Brianna Hildebrand played Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Stefan Capisi, probably butchered that last name, provides the voice for the fully CGI character of Colossus.
Yeah, did you read it was like 5 different people to make Colossus?
Oh no, I did it.
It's like the mocap actor is like some 7-foot actor. They used an actor just for like his jawline, pretty much.
Really?
The voice is somebody else, and then they brought in like a face actor, like just to do the face like later. So it's kind of like a Frankenstein. And I think they offered it to the X2 guy, the guy who played him in X2.
Oh, really?
But he turned it down because it was like full mocap.
Interesting.
It's like, go screw. Like,
yeah, what else is that?
Guys have nobody to begin with.
Exactly.
Yeah, like what they tried to reach out to you. Like at least.
Yeah, and that's weird too. I think it's an awesome creative decision to do full Colossus, like fully metal, the entire movie.
And never turn human. It's perfect. Yeah,
I think it's awesome. So a fun little fact about Negasonic Teenage Warhead, which somehow this character, even though it's an X-Men, it's a mutant, falls under the rights of Marvel Studios. So to be able to use this character, Tim Miller went, which I don't know why they didn't just change the character to something else, because there's a ton of fucking mutants.
See, I read something different.
What did you read? Because what I read is that they had to go and get the rights from Marvel Studios. In exchange for this, Marvel Studios got Ego the Living Planet for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah, I read they were able to use Negasonic, but they changed her powers.
Oh.
Her power in the comic is like premonition and like some psychic powers. But he didn't want that. He wanted like what she basically is, and to change the powers, like that's where the swap with Ego happened.
Oh, I guess that makes more sense than them having to go get get an X-Men character.
Because I think to change her power to movies would like significantly change her comic book.
Yeah,
Like, not that I've ever heard of her before this movie.
No,
I was gonna say, are we like versed in this character that I
No, never.
no, I you know me.
I
I
thought her
barely got
power
any
was to
X-Men.
be able to turn into like a bomb. So like
Yeah, it makes
because of
sense.
her name. So I don't
Yeah.
It
know.
was the one from the bracket that could explode.
Cannonball. She
Uh,
basically has cannonball's power, where she like kind of
Now
eh.
the one dude in the bracket, his ability
Oh,
was to,
is his name Bob? Isn't it like
it might
something?
be Bob. He could
where
explode.
he blows up once. That's
Yeah,
a
he could
Yeah.
explode one time. Yeah.
Do you know who else is in this movie though? Bob, Agent of Hydra.
yeah, Hydra Bob.
He appears in the film just as Bob, who was a former agent since Fox did not have the rights to Hydra. Also in this
Bailey
film,
Hoskins. How did we forget
that's it. That's what it was.
Bailey Hoskins?
Bailey Hoskins. So, also learned today, Ryan Reynolds is in the film, and he needs the love interest of Vanessa, is played by Maureen Baccarat or whatever, butchering her name 100%.
Name's not important. She's very attractive.
She's a smoke show. Her name is Vanessa, and in the comics, she's a mutant herself. Vanessa Copycat, I think they said.
Yeah.
Did not know that, but they said that they didn't want to explore that. They just kind of wanted her to be just human and the love interest, not the woman in danger, kind of just like a girl who can hold her own, and she obviously does. I learned that today. I thought that was interesting. And they said maybe we'll
Yeah.
explore it in going forward. Probably doubt it at this point, but
So I'm reading it now. Her power in the comics is superhuman strength, speed, durability, reflexes, telekinesis, telepathy, flight, transmutation, and precognition.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead?
Yeah, and they wanted to change her powers to basically Cannonball's ability. And the change of powers was made after 20th Century Fox and Marvel Studios struck a deal to allow the latter to use Ego, the Living Planet, in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So I don't know how, like where,
Maybe
because
something
Fox technically owned.
maybe in the rights, in the situation of the legality of the rights, you have to use the characters as they
Maybe.
appear in the comics, and you can't make significant changes.
But
And
Fox owned Ego, so like why changing the
Why does
powers?
Fox own Ego? Is my
It falls under Fantastic Four.
is that all it is?
Yeah, he's more of a
Okay.
Fantastic Four bad guy. It's stupid. It's all
so I wonder though.
That's what
if-
I didn't understand. This where that kind of fell.
So they probably said, okay, we're never going to use this fucking Ego the Living Planet.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
planet that doesn't use any, like, there's nothing.
And Gunn wanted them. So I wonder if it has to do with the legality of like, okay, you have this character, you have to use this character as it's represented in the comic books. And they wanted to make that slight change. And so they were like, boom, here you go, Ego.
just do someone else.
Exactly.
Or
I don't
create a character.
I know. I don't understand it.
But it worked out because we
It
got
did.
Ego. So yeah.
It did.
And Negasonic is probably cooler now.
But one of the things I remember the most about this movie coming out was the marketing campaign. I remember them having a fantastic marketing campaign. I remember seeing the skull and crossbones, the poo emoji, and then the letter L on a giant billboard for Deadpool. And I remember being blown away. I was like, this is great. This is what you expect from a Deadpool kind of thing. So due to the limited budget, the marketing budget for the film was essentially non-existent. So Reynolds worked very closely with the marketing chief, Mark Weinstock, to use the internet to their advantage. Sounds like such like an old thing. We're going to use the internet to our advantage and come up with a cheaper Deadpool-based ways to market the film, including unique trailers, interesting billboards, as I just talked about, and a large social media presence, which I think we all can agree. I don't really remember at that time, but I do remember Deadpool really in the zeitgeist at the release of this film. So obviously,
and Reynolds was great at that still because what was it, like a year ago he was dicking with Miss Minutes on Twitter.
Yeah.
And like now it's come full circle because the TVA is now
part of
involved
Deadpool
in his
Wolverine.
movie.
But yeah, he's great at promoting himself and promoting his brands, kind of everything. He's a really likable guy and likable so much. And the studio liked the film so much that the sequel was greenlit even before the film was released, with the return to theaters in 2018, which is when Deadpool 2 does come out. So that's a little bit of the backstory, a little bit of the history. Everybody who's familiar with this movie kind of knows it was in creative hell for quite a long time. And that, I mean, at least I knew. that it was such a creative risk for Fox that they were so scared to make this film. So, that being said, anything to add before we get into the movie?
It's you going like this. So it's
There's bracing
yeah.
everybody,
There's
breaking the fourth
a lot
wall.
of information. A lot of things I didn't know. A lot of things I felt like I knew it was a process, but it's a very interesting process.
All works of art are processes, Bob.
Fox is a process. That's what's most interesting to me. Like them just like sticking to being like, this is what's best for the business.
As
And
they
always being wrong.
as they count their gold coins
Yeah.
and they used to have always being wrong.
Always being wrong. It's
Yeah.
like it's impressive. Like, no, we can't do that. No one's gonna go and see that. Oh, you just made the biggest market off of a $58 million budget movie.
Yeah, the return on this movie alone had to be fucking huge because obviously the box office is huge, but then most of those movies you got to factor in marketing and this and that, and the return, like the actual profit this movie made, has to be.
This movie got a big push on like DVD and Blu-ray. Like kind of most movies, like once they're kind of out on Blu-ray or whatever, like kind of fizzle out. This movie had like a whole nother push for its physical. Like remember Walmart made like a deal with them and they were putting
I
out.
remember them releasing it. I just didn't remember why.
They were putting out like the Fox movies with like Deadpool slip covers and everything. Like,
Yo, I completely forgot about that until today because I had just finished watching the Planet of the Apes trilogy and I was just bored at work. So I was like looking and Walmart had War of the Planet of the Apes with the Deadpool slipcover. And I was like, I forgot that they fucking did this.
They did like 25 movies with like a Deadpool parody and it was genius, but it's like I'm not buying these movies for the slipcover.
Just for that, but I'm sure there are people that did.
There are, I guarantee.
There's so instead of Caesar being on the horse for War the Planet of the Apes, it's Deadpool.
I'm looking them up now. I'm gonna see if I can find like a full image.
I completely forgot about that until today, but like those gimmicky stuff that people love, like people do like that. Like, oh, well, you know,
but that goes back to the same thing we were talking about before, which is like people like that, but also people are just like weirdly obsessed with Deadpool. So they just want to own things with Deadpool on it.
Yeah.
All right, so I found all the slip covers.
Okay.
I don't know if you found it as well, Bob. There was 16 movies. We got Speed, Revenge of the Nerds, Fight Club, Edward Scissorhands, Predator, Castaway, War of the Planet of the Apes, Assassin's Creed, which I forgot existed, My Cousin Vinny, Terminator, Logan, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Oh, and then X-Men First Class, X-Men, what's the next one? X-Men Days of Future Past, X-Men Apocalypse, and Office Space.
There's a City Slickers one?
Oh, see, I only have 16 on here.
Let me see if I can find.
There's a Martian one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this is nuts. Somebody's got a picture of these all on Google. I Googled it.
Yeah, I'm on Google. I put it in the chat too, Marvel, if you want to.
And in their checkout cart is also cans of Mike's Harder watermelon and mango with Deadpool on the cover on the can. So
they're having a night.
They are. I think the best one's probably the cast.
I love the Castaway one.
Castaway one's pretty great. Instead of Wilson, it's which is creative. Wade Wilson. It's Wade's head, and then the Logan one is a little Deadpool hand grabbing him.
That's great.
That's great. I mean, that's really creative. But who bought the, like? How many people bought these? Obviously, there's a cart full of this stuff, so somebody bought everything.
So I'm looking at a display, and it's for Deadpool 2. So it's promoting Deadpool 2, and it has an $8 ticket towards admission.
The Edward Scissorhands one's actually pretty cool too. Yeah,
but that's like how big. I mean, I even remember the first one, like you said, they had a lot of just random stuff like to promote this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, to some degree, it worked. So, having not seen the movie in quite some time, what are our thoughts? What are our initial, wow, I haven't seen this movie in a while, didn't remember this, or still like this holds up, this doesn't hold up. so on and so forth. Bob, what are you thinking?
I liked it. I feel like just as much as I did the first time. I think it's a solid movie. I don't know how Marvel feels. Deadpool aside, like I said, I find Ryan Reynolds entertaining. So like his humor, his like shtick, I enjoy. I don't remember most of it, to be honest. Like from the like there's obviously there's things I remember, there's lines I remember, but like I don't remember anything else being like, oh shit, I forgot that happened either. You know what I mean? Like it kind of just like held the same as it did initially 8 years ago. Something that was so,
Yeah, it's been some time.
but like it's fine. It's good. I mean, I think I gave it a 4 on Letterbox. Like it's
Yeah, I did as
a
well.
decent film. But like there's a reason I don't think I've watched it in 8 years.
hmm
If you see
I
it, I don't think you need to see it again, if that makes sense. Unless
yeah,
it's like
I think it's an easy to rewatch. I think it's a reason why it's on FX. Even though a movie like this, you don't get the same effect on FX and stuff. Like this is like an HBO movie or whatever. I kind of feel the same way. I think I like it less than when I originally saw it. I think there was just that, oh, this is fun. This is really funny. This is creative. I think they did a great job with the action, with the CGI. It doesn't look amazing, but for when you look, oh shit, they had such a limited budget. Like you're like, oh, this looks really good. And even with that, I think it holds up. I think a lot of the gimmicky fourth wall stuff is great. And I think Ryan Reynolds is amazing in this movie. I think this might be his best movie because even the very minimal emotional parts of the movie, he's really fucking good.
I don't think that's like a wild statement. Like I like Ryan Reynolds, but I can't think of a movie where I'm like, wow, Ryan Reynolds really he really
Yeah,
played it in that one.
Buried.
uh,
You watch that movie Buried?
that movie's crazy. I've never
Oh,
seen it.
he's great in it.
Is
Uh,
he?
I actually really like the Atom Project that came out last year
The
or
Adam
two.
Project was good, but I'm
Mm.
saying like there's never a thing where I'm like, oh man, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
He
like hit,
really
Watch Buried. He
I
acts his ass off in that movie.
need
like
That
to
movie's
now.
phenomenal.
Well, did you look up the writing staff for this movie?
yeah, Rhett Reese and
Right,
Paul
Reese.
Werner.
Do you know what else they've done?
They did Deadpool 2, and I think they're part of
They're
Deadpool
doing
Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine, but they're also Zombieland.
I was about to say Zombieland, I thought, right?
Ah,
And then
okay.
there's Six Underground, which is a Ryan Reynolds like Netflix movie, right?
Yeah, people hate that
Mm-hmm.
And
movie.
then G.I. Joe Retaliation could care less for it, to be honest. But that Spiderhead movie that I actually really enjoyed.
Mm.
The
Chris
Chris
Hemsworth,
Hemsworth movie. Yep. Yeah, so they got some good stuff under their belt.
big fan of the show and Spiderhead as well with Miles Teller. So we had like both of
mm.
them.
Oh yeah. But yeah, no, I think this is good. I think the use of the X-Men is perfect. But I think Ryan Reynolds is exactly like nails exactly this version. I know it's different from the comics, but what Deadpool for live action had to be. I think it's great. I think it's fun. And I'll get into a little bit later, like the things that I didn't like, but overall, very solid, very fun. Maybe if I was a bigger Deadpool fan, I would like it more, but I think that this is
I think that's my
really good.
problem.
4 out of 5.
Like I'm fine with Deadpool. I don't need him. And so like that's where I stand with my thoughts on it.
Marvel, how about you?
So when I first saw this movie, I loved it. Like,
Mhm.
absolutely loved it. I thought it.
Well, I was a pretty,
Oh, your amazing story that I have to tell is
you're pretty charming.
me and my future ex-wife's first date. Um, no,
Yeah.
like that was one of our first dates. That was the amazing story you wanted me to tell.
Yeah, that's it. That's about
Yeah,
it.
if I go back in
Exciting.
time. But
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
the first I watched it, loved it. I thought it was funny, the action was great, everything just really hit. I remember watching it on like Blu-ray and kind of being bored, and I was even more bored this time. Like I just don't know. Like I think when he's Deadpool and the action is like really well, but like it's him and Vanessa or like his whole origin like story in the middle just kind of like puts me out of it a bit. So it's like, it's not all comedies, but like this movie for some reason the jokes are just like when you know they're coming, they're not as good. And I don't get that. Like I can watch The Office or like 40-Year-Old Virgin a billion times, even if I can quote it. But for some reason, like this one, I don't know. Like it just kind of like doesn't like hold up. And there was parts where I was like, oh, I remember laughing at that, but not like this time. That being said, though, like Ryan Reynolds was born to play Deadpool. I think the Deadpool character in the movie is great. I think like where it goes in the sequel and where hopefully it goes in the future, like I think it's great. But it's just this movie on rewatch just didn't do it for me. It just kind of felt flat for me. It was a little boring. So yeah, first time I probably watched it, I probably if I had Letterboxd like 5 out of 5.
Mhm.
Second time like 3 out of 5. Like this time it's like 2.5 out of
Oh
5. Like
shit, that's
maybe three
low.
still. But it's I don't know. Like I said, when he's Deadpool and there's action, love it. But it's just like that origin like middle and that lingering like love story and then like the boring not even a boring bad guy because you kind of need like a normal villain.
So
Well, I have qualms with the villain as well. I don't understand Ajax.
He just can't feel anything, but
He
he's
just
also
can't-
super strong apparently.
But like, yeah, he can't feel anything, but he gets stabbed and he just doesn't affect him. Like that would
Yeah.
still you'd bleed out whether you feel it
Or
or not.
my
That would
problem was when he bent that girder, not the girder, but he stabbed
yeah.
Wade in the thing and then like bent the metal pipe. I
But
was
there's
like, oh,
so
you
many
can't
times where he
feel,
gets like
so it makes you strong. Like,
there's so many times where he gets abused and like beaten up and he just
mm,
walks away. Like he got stabbed through his entire body
Mhm.
and then
Drives off.
Gina Carano stitches him up and he's like, all right, back to
yeah.
base. Like, you lost a lot of blood, dude.
He said,
I,
"That's my one complaint. I don't heal."
Yeah. But like it seems
yeah.
like you do.
Yeah,
yeah.
it seems like you heal pretty well. I know the original idea was Ajax as or not Ajax, that's the villain.
That's it.
Cyber. Cyber was the original villain. I don't again a character I don't know much about. I just know he has like metal arms. And he was too close to Winter Soldier having metal arms. So they went, nah, let's just do someone else.
That's the simplicity of that. So it's interesting you say that, and that is why I included in the background that Ryan Reynolds said it need to be an origin story because I agree. I think when I saw this originally, same thing, Marvel, 5 out of 5. And when I was preparing to rewatch it, I was preparing for this to top my rewatch list, and it didn't. I still really enjoy this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree on the joke part. I think a lot of them, sure, when you don't see it coming, because this is
Mm-hmm.
it's a very wow factor, improv-y kind of
Yeah,
joke.
there are jokes that work. Like the
Yeah, there's
baby
a ton.
hand still works. Like I'm not saying like it's
Baby
still not
hand,
funny, but there were a lot where I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, I forgot about that. All right, like
baby hand when he farts and walks by her and says drive by, hashtag drive
yeah,
by. That's a great joke.
there's still great jokes in it, but
Which
just a lot of
universe?
them. I was
Which,
just like, oh, okay.
I can understand that. Which universe am I in? The McAvoy or
Oh
Stewart?
yeah, he's like Brady the Professor. He's
I
like
feel like
McAvoy or
Amazing joke.
because it's like sarcasm as opposed to like you said, The Office or like a 40-Year-Old Virgin, because it's like just him being sarcastic a lot
Mm,
as you go on. Because I kind of felt the same way
It
with
gets
like,
old.
yeah, it's not that it gets old, but it's just like, oh, he's gonna be sarcastic, and then like he says a line, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot he said that.
Mhm.
Well, it's like the first time you hear it, it's like, oh, we got him,
yeah.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
after that, it's like,
I
all
also like TJ Miller has also dropped on my
Salad.
list of people that I like. So like
Well,
his
he's got
the
not even
interaction
that
where they
funny
were
since
going back and
Deadpool.
forth for like 45 minutes is like you look like an avocado and I was like okay, like all right,
I
like
did like the Captain Deadpool thing because I was like, that's funny.
mm,
Yeah, no, TJ Miller is fine in this movie. He's good for the what he is.
mhm.
Isn't he like a womanizer or something like that?
Yeah,
Well, he's not come back. I think he made like a bomb threat on a train. Like he just kind of fell off.
Oh yeah,
He really had a bad couple of years.
he's
Yeah, I just
canceled.
couldn't
Yeah,
remember exactly what he did.
yeah, he's one the TVA will have no problem
Yeah, just
removing.
purging immediately.
But I share the same sentiment about the origin. I said in my review, like just on Letterboxd, that there's just something about this movie that even when like I've rewatched it each time, that doesn't work for me. And I think it's the origin. I think the origin slows down the movie because it's moving a mile. The movie's moving a fucking mile
It
a
does
minute.
get boring.
And it's just like, all right, like we got to get through this. He's tortured for so long. We got to get through this. But I agree. Anytime he's Wade or he's Deadpool,
Mhm.
it's great. The movie's awesome. And like that humor where like he's like, I only have 12 bullets and he shoots the guy 3 times. like stuff like that.
Worth it.
Really works really, really well. And even like, did I leave the stove on joke? Like all of that stuff that we saw in the trailers. And anytime he's with the mutants, it works really well. But that is my biggest complaint: is the origin just slows this movie down. And that's kind of really it. Like the villain is very generic, which we expected.
Watching for this right purpose, the villain, like it just for the last hour of the movie, I felt like I was like, why can't this guy die?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't stop thinking about it every time that anything happened to him. Like,
for a superhero, that character that kills people so easily, this guy who doesn't heal,
yeah, he's just strong.
why isn't he dead already? Agreed. And he knows that he can't feel, so why is he kicking? But why is he punching him? But then again, he tries to beat up Colossus, and he knows that he can't hit Colossus, which was
Yeah. Gina Carano's character would have been more of a threat, but she was just there for like Colossus to fight, which is fine.
yeah.
But it was just like,
She was good in this movie for what she was. She barely spoke.
yeah, just a big thug. Like
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah. So anyway, my last nitpick of the movie is that while it's a lot of fun and while it's a good action movie, I don't think it's anything special. I think Ryan Reynolds is now, even though he was born to play Deadpool, and I am like really excited for Deadpool 3. I don't think there's anything special about this movie. I think it's the same Ryan Reynolds you get. I think this is just the best version of it. But I don't think there's anything that I go back and like, oh man, yeah, Deadpool was good. It was fun.
But I think all the excitement about Deadpool 3 isn't Deadpool such a great character, such a cool like story that's been told over the first 2 movies. It's Deadpool 3. There's so much that this could do.
Yes, absolutely, and I think that is the case. I don't remember. Again, I haven't rewatched Deadpool 2 since I saw it in theaters, so I'm interested to revisit that. But I don't remember loving that movie either. So it might just be my connection with it.
I feel like same concept. Like I enjoyed Deadpool 2.
Yeah,
but I'm curious if I watch it again, if it's just going to be like, oh yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
I feel like that's how this was. Like I saw it in theaters. I remember laughing a ton, enjoying the movie, and then I watched it and I was like, yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's a good movie.
I remember just being okay with 2. There were again parts I thought were great, but overall I was just like, oh okay. I mean,
yeah, that's
more of the same. That's
my takeaway from it. Is I was wowed by this because when it came out, it was like, oh shit, like this is what an R-rated movie can be. Like
too.
It was different. But I think just the level of what a superhero movie can be, the aspect of him being a superhero is fairly generic. You're mainly just going, it's a really good action movie with some crude stuff you don't see from a superhero before. And in terms of after seeing it, that initial wow factor, it's still a good movie. It's just, I don't think it's anything special. Like to me, the first 2 X-Men movies are special. Days of Future Past is special.
Elektra.
Obviously Elektra. But in terms of like the lasting effect of Deadpool, I think it's great that this movie got made. I think it's great that people enjoyed it and that it was reviewed well. Because sometimes you won't really see that with a film like this. But the interesting retrospect on this, and I was messaging Marvel about this, was before I rewatched it, was logging on to Letterboxd and actually seeing the reviews from people that I like be different than what I was expecting. I was expecting a lot of like 4, maybe 4.5s, and it was a lot of 3, even a 2, 3.5, which I think 3.5 is valid. 3, even 3, sure, whatever. I think a little low. But I think, and I'm curious for people like us who haven't rewatched this movie in a couple of years, like, is this the same? And maybe I'll run a poll that does Deadpool hold up to what you originally thought as it does now. But I think that's a great point, Bob, that the excitement for Deadpool 3 isn't, oh, it's Deadpool's coming back. It's, oh no, Deadpool's back with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and the TVA, and is he going to kill all the Fox?
So much potential, yes.
Yeah, and like the integration, sure, I think it'll be fun to see him in the MCU and like maybe see him eventually interact with like Spider-Man in a PG-13 movie where he's like not allowed to curse. Like that element of what Deadpool can be in the MCU, but like as him as a character, I don't necessarily. I think maybe before this episode and rewatching it, if it would have had this, maybe a little bit of a different discussion. But post watching it, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. He's a fun character, but a lot of the Marvel characters, like I think what he represents in a way, I think the Guardians of the Galaxy kind of did on a PG-13 level and a little bit better. So like we've already kind of had that in the MCU.
That's biased. It's biased because you love him.
That is biased. It is definitely biased. But I just
But I
mean
think
that,
also
like,
part of the appeal of Deadpool was just that like there was that long running story about how Ryan Reynolds wanted to play this character so bad.
yeah. And
So
his,
when it comes out and it's good, whether you love it or not, it's not bad either, right? It's
No.
good, especially on first watch. It's good. It's like, all right, you're right. He should have done that. He should have like pushed for that as hard as he could. So like the story behind the movie, I feel like adds to the movie or added to the movie when we all initially saw it.
yeah, no,
Not
for
just
sure.
watching it for entertainment value.
Mhm.
And like I
And-
said, it's a good movie. I mean, like not I shouldn't say good. It's an entertaining movie.
Yeah, I
But,
think it's a
I feel
good
like
movie.
it's a movie. The more you see it, the less entertaining it probably becomes.
I think that's possible. And like I said, curious to see with Deadpool 2. But I think that's a great aspect too, though, Bob. Like, because and it comes up it'll come up in our Deadpool 2 episode, but like the respect and reverence that Ryan Reynolds, this isn't a cash grab for Ryan Reynolds. This is, I'm passionate. I want to make this movie. This movie can be
It's like
great.
his project, yeah.
Yeah. And obviously he took a low, you know, he took a low pay for this
You can-
movie. And he wasn't necessarily on board for a Deadpool 3 or right away because he wanted to, if he doesn't want to just rehash some stuff. So
Speaking of not getting paid, that's my other nitpick with this film. There's no reason that Dopinder should pick him up for a second tattoo after not getting paid the first time around.
that better come back around because
That's just bad
he-
business practice.
it's not only a bad business practice. He has a man kidnapped and he has a car accident and then that's never revisited.
He probably goes to jail.
That's but I want to see that. That's the
I
type of
love the
character.
Dopinder stuff.
The Dopinder
Like,
stuff's
I
great.
do really
That stuff legit was like making me laugh though. Like when
It
Colossus
doesn't
is
stop being
in
funny.
the car and he's giant, where it's like you could just turn into a normal sized human, like, but he just stayed in his metal form. Like that stuff was funny. Like it's just I don't know. Some of
Like
the
that-
data
but that, like,
references is where
On the
it gets.
rewatch, I was like, yeah, this is funny. Like that holds up
Oh.
really well.
Yes, everything
Just
with Dopinder is great. Also great. Need to shout out the opening credits of this movie are great. With it's like the douchebag and directed by a douchebag by the Green Lantern thing, like all of those little gimmicky stuff is great.
Yes, I concur.
And
For
then
what bothered me. The second time when he said double high five, I was like, come on, Dopinder.
come on, you're better than that. Everything can't be Daffodil
You
Daydream.
can't take that woman out that you love so much if you're not.
The "Sew Your Mouth Shut" line was good.
Sorry, Mouse Show was good. I mean, any
and
of the
the-
stuff that acknowledges all the shit that went wrong. I
Yeah.
Yeah, don't make the
Um,
suit green and CGI.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
those little things were fine.
The first nudity in a superhero movie?
Straight dick.
Did Dick boobies? Did the Watchmen have nudity?
Yeah,
Technically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blue, though.
Well,
fucking
then-
Manhattan's dick was
It's blue. It
swinging.
doesn't count.
Oh,
It's
well,
blue.
that doesn't count. That doesn't count. That's blue. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and it was Zack
bad.
Snyder. So
Yeah. Is that, but that's it.
it's
Stan
art.
Lee-
It's not a comic book movie. It's art.
Great Stanley cameo.
What are you
And-
gonna? What are you gonna get rid of all of Avatar for that? Is that what you feel?
Yeah,
he-
the Stanley cameo was good too. Like that was
Yeah,
like
that's
good
like-
for him to agreeing for that. Like just
Yeah.
being cool.
there was rumor that he was actually like kind of pissed about what the cameo was. I don't know how true that is.
He wouldn't have done it. It's
Yeah,
Stan Lee. If he said put me somewhere else, you put him somewhere else. Like I don't.
exactly.
Ryan Reynolds, I feel like has enough reverence for him that
Mhm.
he would have put him somewhere else if he wanted to be.
I can't imagine Ryan Reynolds being like, "No, Stan, you're a
Yeah.
club DJ.
You
or
have to do
nothing."
this. And then cooler X-Men suits than in the previous films.
Hmm.
But that's kind of my notes. That's kind of my points.
What
I
was the
talked
biggest
enough.
laugh you had this time around? Like, what was a joke that worked for you?
I don't know that I laughed out loud at anything.
One part did make me laugh out loud because I forgot about it, and it caught me by surprise. Like, I was just like, "Oh, okay." It was when he called her Ripley from Alien. Like, for
Alien?
some reason, like,
Yeah.
I forgot that line, and it made me laugh so hard. He was like, "All right, Ripley." She's like, "Oh, you're so old."
Yeah.
I was
Thinking about
dying.
it now, I think there was one
I like
where I laughed
the
out loud, but I cannot tell you. I couldn't remember what it
I
is.
like the whose balls that I have to
Mm,
rub. He's got a nice smooth pad down under. I like
yeah.
that part.
So
I don't know
that's
if
gonna
it
be
made me laugh out
interesting.
loud though.
Are they gonna deal with that, like, in the third one? Because he knows Hugh Jackman as the actor
Oh yeah.
because he's on a Sexiest Man Alive magazine, but he
Well,
also knows Wolverine. Like,
well, they make that joke about did Ryan Reynolds get along on his good looks.
yeah, I know,
That
but
was a good joke.
it's
So
just
there's
like I wonder
possible.
if they'll kind of.
Well, if they mention Kevin Feige,
Mm,
which Feige's also in this, I don't know if you noticed, not him, but the pizza he
the
delivers in the
pizza
beginning
box, yeah.
is Feige's. It's Feige's famous pizza, which
Mm,
I was like, oh, that's cool. It's a cool little reference.
yeah,
Um,
the Rob Layfield's in it too.
yeah,
The
is
guy who
it?
made.
He's
He's
in.
at
I
the
know he's in
bar.
3. Oh, he is.
He's actually a cameo. Yeah, he's at the bar. He goes like Liefeld. Like, he seems like annoyed with him.
I missed that. Yeah, I don't remember what made me laugh out loud. Yeah,
I feel like there was one where I
oh,
went, huh.
when he calls Colossus like a cock muncher or something like
Mm.
that. I actually really enjoyed
Yeah, and
that. I
anything
will
with
say.
Colossus and Negasonic is what
Mhm.
got me. Like, that works so like.
And when
So
Colossus
it's not even like
pukes.
Deadpool himself. It's Deadpool working off of somebody else that
Mhm.
Deadpool,
like
yeah,
works for
with
me.
Deadpool with the straight character. It's funny.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
Dopinder, Colossus, Negasonic, like, it worked.
like he kills or he like does something and
He
makes
shot him.
Colossus puke. Yeah, yeah,
When
he
he
shot
shoots,
him.
Colossus
yeah,
gives the whole
Ajax,
speech about like
yeah, being
he,
better, the music
yeah.
swells, they just
Oh,
shoots them.
I will say the pegging scene made me laugh
Mm,
when
for Women's Day.
yeah, that did get a good laugh out of me. I enjoyed that whole sequence, that the calendar girl sequence of them
Mm,
fucking for each holiday.
not
I
for Lent.
enjoyed that.
For a
Yeah,
while.
They gave it up for
That might have
Lent.
been when I laughed.
yeah,
Like, happy Lent.
yeah. No, it's like a genuinely funny movie. I understand
Mm.
if you don't think that, but the jokes worked back then. I still think
I
a
just don't. I think
majority.
the jokes kind of like
They're not
grow
as
old.
funny now. Yeah.
Whereas in like most movies that are good comedies, like you're looking forward to the jokes. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
he's gonna say that line that makes me laugh
Mm.
every time. He
Yeah.
called the
Yeah.
shit poop, makes me laugh every time. Right? Where this one, I'm like, oh, here comes that one joke. It's like they almost have to surprise you again with shit, like the Ripley one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that caught me off guard. I forgot about that one. That's why I'm curious to watch the second one, because I don't think I've watched the second one as
And
long as like this one, and I remember not loving it the first time, and I'm curious how well it holds up.
I definitely only watched the second one in theaters for sure.
yep.
Mm.
And
And I don't remember the second one that much, so I'm curious if it'll
I
be good because I don't remember a lot.
I know for a fact I haven't because I got it for Christmas that year, and I have not put that disc in my player at
Is
all.
it still
like
sealed?
in my head,
No.
Vanessa died at the end of this movie.
Is she dying? No, she's alive because she's in 3.
Well, the two is
Well,
like,
that might be a TVA thing because she dies in two.
yeah,
Does she die in 2?
all
Yeah.
Oh,
of two
maybe.
is her
Oh,
dying. That's like the beginning of two.
for whatever reason, I thought she was in the trailer for 3. I guess I'm wrong.
She is. She's at the birthday scene, but we're dealing with
Oh,
TVA stuff, so maybe.
true. Could be time. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
So I guess they kind of
Yeah.
run together to for me.
Yeah. Again, I haven't rewatched them, but I have the
Cable's in
super.
two, right?
I have yeah.
Yeah, Cable's in two.
Josh Brolin. I have the extended edition, like that came on the release. So I think I'm gonna watch that one. It's about like 15 minutes longer. And it's supposed to have like more jokes. So
Oh boy,
I might
A weird
watch that.
flex.
more
Yeah.
poo poo pee pee jokes.
Yeah, more poo poo pee pee jokes. But I think that about does it. Is there anything left about Deadpool that you feel like you need to get out, you need to say?
No, I'm glad it was made. It was a good movie. It was. I'm
It
more
moves.
excited now, obviously, for 3, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it moved comic book movies in a good direction. Having the
Yeah.
rated R movies is a
Mm.
good thing.
Yeah, because this one obviously spawns Logan. Like they have confidence in Logan.
Yeah, like they know that they can make money off a rated R movie. And so it's
Mhm.
like, okay, as long as you do that and that alone, it's a success. And then obviously, I think it's entertaining. I did have one question. I don't know if either of you have the answer to that. Is that actually the origin of the name Deadpool?
They made it up
Mm,
for the movie.
Okay.
yeah,
Well, I do like that origin. It made sense.
it is. What was it? Because I think I read it today.
They just originally had the idea for him to be Weapon 9, and I don't know. He was just like
There
when he
was
showed up, he was just kind of like a background character.
There was no, but I think in his origin, there's a character named Worm who I think is the character in the hospital with him in the
The
scene,
guy with
and he
Okay.
names Deadpool, and I forget why. Like what exactly? Like I think the place was called like the Deadpool, where they just kill everybody. He's like another member for the Deadpool, and then I think that's just kind of what happened.
I liked the Deadpool in the bar. I thought that was like a funny thing.
Yeah, none of the celebrities on there were dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at it, no one's dead on there.
I'm just Googling it real quick. Yeah, it just keeps coming up, the movie version. So, but yeah, on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, what would you guys rate this?
I gave it a 4 on Letterboxd. I'll stick with it. I think 3.5 is reasonable. I don't think it's a 4.5, but
Mhm.
so I gave it the 4 because I do think it's enjoyable. I'd also just watched a bunch of different movies over the weekend, so like something being super light and like just a big joke didn't hurt
Yeah.
its rating. I don't think after watching Apes versus Humans for 6 hours.
Yeah, and those movies are great, but heavy. Marvel?
I think three's fair. I'll go three, just because, like I said, first time I watched it, probably easily five. I think with each rewatch and with age, it probably drops down. But I think three is fair because I still enjoyed the rewatch. It's just not every joke landed like
Mhm.
it did the first time.
I think that's fair. And for all the reasons I said, mainly the origin aspect, the jokes I'm fine with, but the origin I think slows down the movie a bit. I think Ryan Reynolds is tremendous in this. I think he was born to play Deadpool, like Marvel also said, and so it's a 4 out of 5 for me. So yeah, I think that would be it.
I think I go Electra, Deadpool,
Daredevil.
Yeah,
I
Fantastic.
still really like Daredevil.
Daredevil would have been number 1 if there was more of the playground fight.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
Cut that short. They didn't really give it a chance.
They did it. It needed to breathe more. And obviously one more thing before we go. The suit's fucking awesome. The suit is perfect. And I'm glad that they nailed it. If the suit and the eyes didn't work, the
Yeah.
movie wouldn't work.
The CGI, like eyes being emotive,
And
like
his
really worked well.
yeah, and his roommate too. His roommate's great.
Blind
Blind out.
Yeah. So thank you for listening. Let us know what you thought of Deadpool. Anything to plug before we go, guys?
No, but I do. I mean, X-Men 97, but I do have a request for the playout song,
Okay.
Calendar Girl.
Okay. I'll see what I can
In
do.
my head since you said.
I said to Audrey, I love this song. She was like, you do? I'm like, yeah, this song's great.
Great song.
Marvel, Gateway
No.
Gamers.
Nothing to plug.
All righty. Remember to check out our Redbubble and TeePublic store and check out us on all social medias. If you haven't left us a review, leave us a review. It really helps. And check out our polls if we have them posted. Curious to see what you guys think about this one. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. To me, my PR men. Bye-bye.